What lies in front of you is a 2022 BMW M4 Competition with 500 miles. Now this is a second generation BMW M4 and it is equipped with the soft top convertible roof, as there are no more hard tops convertibles in BMW's lineup. This M4 Competition in specific is equipped with a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine which produces 503 horsepower, a very impressive number for this vehicle. In this video I'll be taking around the M4 Competition, showing off its extravagance and power, and leaving you with the takeaway point at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And one noticeable thing about the M4, the first thing that struck me when I approached the vehicle, is how big it is. This is a coupe, but it just is a very large vehicle, as you can see. It's very long for a coupe, but it gives it kind of a more like muscular feel to it, with a bigger body. So moving to the front of the M4, you now have your modernized, very large kidney grills, but it does give the M4 a very aggressive look with the hood lines. You can see that kind of just flows into this massive grill. Moving to the headlights of the M4, as you can see, they have this very cool kind of like hexagonal shaped look. And these are actually laser lights. You can see, I will show you a little Easter egg where it even says BMW laser. It might be a little hard to see, but as you focus, it'll say BMW laser, as it is laser lights. As you can see, they do have this kind of blue tint to the lights. However, the lights themselves aren't blue. It just actually, this blue line displays the lights or projects them from their little sliver of space. The lights aren't actually blue. So if you haven't noticed by now, one nice additive on the exterior of the M4 is the black accenting. As you can see, your side skirt is black, you have the black rims, you have the black mirrors, you have the black side badging of the M4 Competition. And on the front of the car, as you saw in a previous video, the grill is also black as well. I will say, I think the black accent looks amazing with the Toronto red. It's a really just like nice and aggressive like color to kind of offset the red. It's a really nice overall look to the M4. So to continue with the very good attention to detail of the M badging on the M4, as you can see on the wheels, you have the M badge right here. If you look in between the rims, you have an M badge on the brakes themselves. Very good attention to detail. And then on the brake caliper, which is blue, you can also see another M badge there. Just a really cool attention to detail on the M4. So moving to the rear of the 2022 M4, as you can see, fittingly, there are quad exhausts, giving the M4 more of an aggressive look. All the lower trim 4 Series have dual tips or less, but on the M4 you get the quad exhaust. As you can see, you have your M4 Competition badge with the black accenting, which I'll elaborate on momentarily. You have a very well disguised rear view camera in the BMW logo, which is very good camouflage and to keep the overall look. And M4 is also an X-Drive. However, BMW does not put the X-Drive badge on the rear like they do in most of their vehicles, but it is an X-Drive M4 nonetheless. Alright, so moving into the interior of the 2022 BMW M4, as you can see here, you have your fully digital gauge cluster right here. It's a very large screen, very nice, very up-to-date, high def. As you can see, you have all your basic features right here. You have your fuel gauge, your speed, your tachometer on the right, your temperature gauge. One thing that's pretty cool, it also tells you the town that you're currently in on the bottom. So when you're driving down the highway, you'll always know where you are. And if you hit a little button over here on the turn signal, on the top button on the left, you will see the right gauge cluster screen change. You can display your MPG, your trip odometer and your average trip MPG, your tire PSI, your current temperature and tire PSI, your pound-feet of torque and your current horsepower output, G-forces. If you have a phone connected to the M4, you can see the current song playing in the album, your different drive modes, depending which one you select, and then back to your current gauge that you are set to. All right, so taking a further look of the interior of the M4, one thing that I want to point out with a really cool attention to detail is the interior stitching of the M badge on the steering wheel. Very cool, very nice detail on the M4 Competition. You have a heated steering wheel right here with this little button right here. You have various cruise control settings on the left side of the steering wheel. You have your CarPlay settings on the right side, paddle shifters, and you also have two M settings, giving you more of an aggressive driving feel, and it can be set to your various drive position as well. And one cool touch with the interior gauge cluster, one thing you will notice if you go into M mode, you will actually see the gauge cluster screen change. As you press it, you will notice the change in the gauge cluster, giving you a reminder that you are in M mode and giving it a more of an aggressive look on the gauge cluster of the M4. All right, so working our way down the interior of the 2022 M4, as you can see, this car does have Apple CarPlay. As you can see, it is in Apple CarPlay right now. I really like how the screen is just slightly tilted towards the driver, giving it a more of a driver-centered focus in the M4. And again, the screen is super high def. It's like instantaneous to your response. You touch one button, it'll switch the screen. Very, it's like high quality screen. Moving below that, as you can see, you have your basic AC settings right here, your little digital AC settings right here. One thing that is nice in the M4 is you do have heated and cooled seats, as it is a very hot summer day now. The cooled seats will come in handy, but down the road in the winter time, you might want to use the heated seats. Working right below this, you have all of your basic music and radio settings right here with your various presets. You have two cup holders right here, a 12-volt outlet right here to charge your phone or whatever other appliance you may want to use. You have your shifter right here. I will go through the buttons right now. You have your traction control button right here, your parking sensor button, your automatic stop start button. If you don't know what this is, say you're at a red light, the engine will shut off while you're at the red light to possibly preserve fuel mileage, and then the engine will kick back on when you accelerate. You have your start engine button right here on the center stack or center console area of the M4, which is kind of nice, kind of a cool touch instead of being by the steering wheels that usually are in most vehicles. Below that, you have your setup button or your M mode button, which will change the drive mode and the gauge cluster as previously mentioned. Your setup button will help you configure buttons in the center screen. And for the exhaust button right here, when you press it, you will have a bit of a louder exhaust if you want to have a more of an aggressive feel in your M4 Competition. But if you want a more of a subtle and quieter drive, maybe on an early morning where you're not in the mood to floor it, you can just press the button and you will have a little more of a subtle exhaust note on the M4. This is your auto brake hold button in case you don't want to actually keep your foot on the brake while you're at a red light or a stop sign. You have your parking brake. You have your heated headrest in case you want to have a heated neck, say if you want to do a little top-down driving in the wintertime. This is the convertible top button, press and pull it, and the convertible roof will retract. And this is the same heated headrest for the passenger. So one cool thing about the heated and cooled seats, instead of being one button for heated seats and one button for cooled seats as it is in some other vehicles, there are just one button for each passenger and driver in the M4. As you can see, you can use this button to change the settings on the cooled seats, but if you don't want to use the actual button, you can also have the freedom to choose it on the center screen. As you can see, you can use the heated seats or 3 different levels of cool seats, or if you don't want to go on the actual screen, you can go back with the old-fashioned button, whatever one you prefer. Kind of a cool little touch though. So moving to the shifter in the M4, the first thing you'll notice is a little M badge with the stitching again, very nice attention to detail. One thing that's kind of interesting about the shifter, as some of you BMW enthusiasts watching might know, the shifter is usually kind of a straight line shifter with the park button on most BMWs. This one's kind of different though. As you can see, you put your foot on the brake. You will notice to go into reverse, you have to kind of push it over and then up to go into reverse, and then drop it back down to neutral, or to drive, you got to shift it over to the right. You also do have the option of manual shifting, but if you don't want to do that, you also do have the paddle shifters in case you want to use the actual shifter on the center, and then your typical park button as always. So for your screen in the M4, you have a lot of options. It is a touchscreen, as you can see. Hit a button and it will configure to whatever you touch. However, if you want to go with the old-fashioned route, you do have the typical BMW kind of dial right here, or various buttons as well to get you to a certain screen. If you want to hit the media screen or the media button, it will direct you straight to the media screen as a shortcut. And if you want to go back home, you can do that as well. Again, you can also use the dial on the BMW, like the old-fashioned dial, to get to wherever you want. It works just as well. But again, back as I mentioned before, it is a crystal clear quality screen. It is adaptive to your touch or the button, whatever one you prefer. So one cool feature in the M4's infotainment screen, if you go into the car menu and then you go into the M menu, you can configure your various drive modes for M1 or M2, which are on the steering wheel as mentioned earlier in the video. However, going back over here, if you click on one of these buttons, you have the option to adjust or change any specific feature that you desire. Really cool and really advanced settings where you can really give it your own drive mode and adjust it to your exact preference in the M4. And one cool little thing, as you can see, it is a 3D visual of your M4. As you can see, this one is offered in Toronto red, but it's really cool. You just have a little visual of your exact M4 on your screen. One nice little bonus in the M4 Competition, as you will see, it has the Harman Kardon sound system, which gives your M4 a very nice sound system if you want to just listen to your music, as you get the highest trim options in the M4 Competition. So as you can see, I'm in the back seat of the M4, and surprisingly enough, I actually have a tolerable amount of legroom. It's not spacious, but I could definitely sit back here for a while. I'm about 5'10", my legs are partially outstretched. There's a surprising amount of legroom considering this is a coupe. Kind of reiterates the point of how large this coupe actually is, where you can sit a full-size adult in the back seat and still have decent comfort back here. Seats are very comfortable, just as comfortable as they are in the front. You do have 2 cup holders for your rear passengers. Good amount of legroom for a coupe in the M4. It's pretty impressive. So from my perspective in the back of the M4, as you can see, same as the front, the perforated, very comfortable leather seats. One thing that is very cool also, if you notice in the seatbelts, you do have the M4 or the M badge stitching on the seatbelts. Very nice attention to detail again. You also have the large Harman Kardon sound system to amplify the music for the rear passengers as well. And aside from the cup holders back here, the rear passengers also get their own storage cubbies, which is a nice little bonus. Like I said before, even though this is a coupe, this is very much could be you could fit a small family back here, as it basically is a borderline sedan of how large this coupe actually is. But yeah, really passenger-friendly coupe, honestly, with a lot of storage back for the rear seat passengers. A very surprising touch for the M4. Alrighty, so getting behind the wheel of the M4. First thing that you notice, obviously, is the exhaust note. It's got a very nice and aggressive exhaust note. Nice, powerful. Even like when you're like going like just 25 down the street, you can still hear like the loud and aggressive exhaust note. About to make a little turn up here. See how the turning radius is in the M4. Turning radius is pretty good. It's pretty easy to steer. It's a very light vehicle. Most modern cars are very light and nimble. I've driven, pickup trucks that have super light feels. It feels the same way. Acceleration's phenomenal. You barely put your foot on the gas and you're already like 30 miles an hour just by kind of tapping it. The steering wheel is very large. It feels like it's a very large wheel for it's not a small car, but it's got a very like big wheel. It makes you feel like you got all that power at your disposal, what you do. So it's kind of a cool little bonus feature. You're literally just going down the street, the throttle response is actually, on most basic commuter cars, you have to give your foot a little bit of a shove to get the car moving. You literally just tap the M4 and then you're going almost 40 miles an hour. Give me a little bit of a gas up this hill. The engine sounds amazing. It's got amazing throttle response, got amazing exhaust note, and it just, for as powerful as this car is, it's so, you feel in control. You don't feel like you're gonna be like launched out of the seat or lose control of the steering. It's a very well handling vehicle. All right, so put in M mode, do a little bit of a pull right here, give it a little bit of gas. Yeah, it's got some serious power. I don't wanna hit it too hard because I am on a back road right now. But like, just giving it the gas right there real quick, it just kind of burped you up and launched you pretty quickly right there. And again, too, going through these turns at like 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, you do this in a different vehicle that doesn't have like really good handling. You feel like you're kind of like rolling, getting tossed and turned. Like in the M4, you're planted. You can literally just be like in your total position, like taking a turn quickly. I mean, that just kind of shows you like the extreme precision in the M4. One thing I also want to add too, as like for as powerful as this vehicle is, it is extremely comfortable. If you get into like a muscle car and you gun it, you kind of feel like you're like getting like bounced around and kind of thrown, and your head's jerking a little bit. In the M4, it's again, kind of to reiterate the handling, you're just planted in your seat. You don't got to worry about anything with handling as far as that goes. But even again, like just barely tapping the throttle, really good acceleration, powerful acceleration, really smooth. And when you have all this at your fingertips, like the fun driving experience, the great tech, the extreme comfort, like the heated seats, the cold seats, like the heated headrest if you want to do like winter top-down driving, there really is just a great combination of everything in the M4. Like really is. And as I said before, like you might not have been able to get away with this in older Beamers, but like there's so much room in the back seat. Like I'm almost 6 feet tall and I can fit comfortably back there. I mean, you could almost say this is like a possible family vehicle if you can fit your family in here, while also having it's an M4. You're gonna have a blast while driving. You can take it down the road going as fast as you like. I mean, it really is a great combination of everything in a vehicle, honestly. So, props to BMW for making practical car and very fun car at the same time. It is now time for the interview section, where I answer 5 generic questions one would ask when going to purchase a vehicle. Before I begin, I want to extend a thank you to my friend Omer for lending me his M4 for the production of this video. Omer has a car page on Instagram where he features his fleet, and a YouTube channel as well, and I will leave links to both in the description below. Anyways, on with the interview section. Question number 1 of the interview section is, what is my favorite feature about the M4? That'd have to be the throttle response and power beneath the hood. Question number 2 of the interview section is, what is my least favorite feature of the M4? That would probably be the overall size of the car. Yes, it's got plenty of power and it's fun to drive, but it just feels like a boat when you're behind the wheel of this thing. It feels much more like a sedan than a coupe. Question number 3 of the interview section is, what is the most unique feature about the M4? In all honesty, there isn't really anything strange or out of the ordinary with the M4. Being able to tune the drive mode to the exact setting of your choosing, though, is pretty impressive, so we'll have to go with that. Question number 4 of the interview section is, how good of a value is the 2022 M4? This car can easily top $100,000 with options while new, and while it's an attractive sports coupe exceeding 500 horsepower, being that it's a BMW, it will depreciate like hell. So, I will give you my most straightforward answer. If you love Beamers and have the cash to spend, then who cares? Enjoy your M4. If you're more of a modest enthusiast who cares about trade-in or resale value, then this might not be your best investment, especially if you're going to drive it twice a year. And question number 5 of the interview section is, would I ever want or own the 2022 M4? And the answer is no. The M4 is an awesome car and it's fun to drive, but personally, it's just not a car that I would buy. So to conclude the video, I leave you with the takeaway point, which is essentially a synopsis of my final thoughts on the M4. I kind of generalized all this in the interview section, but the M4 is an exciting car with a ton of power, and has a striking design that will turn some heads. While its size makes it feel more like a sedan than a sports coupe, this does boost the practicality of the M4, as you could probably squeeze 4 people in this thing, while still having more power than 95% of everybody else on the road. Overall, the M4 has a lot to offer, it's practical for a sports coupe, and is also fun to drive. If you're looking for a practical sports coupe, this is definitely a contender.